Hey, this is Todd from Roxy Blue, and you're watching CMS TV. Crank it up.
We were just saying a second ago.
Exactly.
You know, I could come in and give Stephanie a hug, and that's fine. But then I could give Stephanie's friend a hug, and she might fucking complain about it.
Of course.
Because there's not a standard. There's not a difference. What this person finds is maybe she just finds me to be creepy.
Right.
You know, my intent is not to be creepy, but if person X doesn't find me creepy and person Y does find me creepy, person Y is probably going to think the same exact thing that wasn't creepy to person X is creepy to person Y.
Exactly.
So this article is as flawed as the fucking dumbbell that wrote it.
That's exactly what I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
The answer to that question perhaps is that a lot of men aren't so much afraid of being accused of anything as they are angry that Me Too ever happened. They're just a bunch of angry males is what they're saying.
Well, because honestly, I don't think many men care.
Yeah. They're angry that they've been made to think about their behavior, made to interrogate power dynamics that they took for granted, and they're punishing women for it and refusing to interact with them.
No, wrong. Just 100% wrong.
I agree with you what you're saying.
There's no punishment.
They're punishing us.
There's no punishment to that. If anything, the women are punishing the guys for their fucking false sense of need for attention.
Yeah.
It's this false sense of it and this article proves it. Guys' answer is, you know what? If it's going to be a problem, this is how all guys think about everything. About everything. It doesn't matter. It could be fucking what tires you put on your car, kind of spark plugs you put in your car, who you date, if you go to family functions. Everything falls under this single umbrella that I'm about to share with the world right now. Guys don't want to be bothered with. We don't want it to be a hassle. That's all we care about. If you're a chick and you're a hassle, we don't want to be bothered with you.
Right.
If now there's a new set of rules to dealing with chicks, we don't want to be bothered with you. If my spark plugs aren't going to make my car run to an optimal level, I don't want to be bothered with them. If my tires won't hold the road, I don't want to be bothered with them. If my uncle's going to be an asshole at the fucking family Thanksgiving, I don't want to be bothered with the family Thanksgiving. This is just another one of those things, and this is how guys fucking interact.
Yeah, they don't want any drama.
No, if there's a potential problem, if there's any sort of potential problem, we don't want to be bothered with it.
Yeah, we'll avoid.
Yeah. Like, I'll give a personal example from the last pay-per-view, the wrestling pay-per-view that I had here at the house, and John and Stephanie and John's brother AJ came over. Well, I don't get along at all with AJ's chick. Me and her just. It's oil and water. It just we don't get along.
All right.
So I invited John and Stephanie, and then I invited AJ to come over, and I said to him, and he goes, he asked me, he goes, is the invite just for me? Because he knows that I don't want nothing to do with his chick. And I said to him, I said, look, I'd rather you didn't bring her, but I get where you are with your deal, you know, and that was the best I could do. Translation, I don't want a fucking problem. I just want to watch some fucking wrestling. You know, in his head, I'm sure he translated it to, is she going to be a cunt? If so, she stays home. And she stayed home. She did not come to the wrestling thing. And you know what? There was no problem. It was a perfectly fine evening. Guys are like, am I wrong in thinking that there's no punishment to women? It's just you're becoming a pest.
Well, let me just put it this way.
Yeah.
If you're in a room with a snake,
Okay.
a poisonous snake,
Yeah.
if you stand by yourself in a corner and that snake is just wandering the floor,
Mm-hmm.
chances are you're not going to get bitten by it.
Okay.
But there might be a chance you might get bitten by it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what are you going to do? You're going to get as far away from it as possible. You might get bitten, but again, you might not get bitten.
And if you want to be sure, then you just don't bring it. You go into a different room without the snake.
And it's the same way with, and this goes back not only to the Me Too movement, but this goes back to what do you want to call a stereotype,
Mm-hmm.
or profiling. I know everybody hates those words,
Right.
but what is the most common vicious dog, stereotypical vicious dog? What is it?
Pit bull, Rottweiler, one of them.
Pit bull.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So are all pit bulls mean?
No.
Have you known anybody that owned a pit bull?
Yes.
Were they friendly dogs?
Seem to be.
Did they tear your leg off?
Nope.
I know you know a girl by the name of Gina.
Yes, I do.
She had 2 pit bulls.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them were like big babies.
Right.
But to a stranger, they were a pit bull. Now,
Right.
Without knowing the dogs or being introduced to them or being around them, if you saw the pit bulls, some people would go, that pit bull's going to bite my leg off,
Mm-hmm.
tear my throat out.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You
It
don't.
might bite me. It might not bite me. But because it's a pit bull, you'll just avoid it because I don't want to find out.
Right.
That's exactly the same situation here. I'm just going to avoid it because I don't want to find out.
She didn't get those pit bulls to keep me away from her, did she?
No.
I love me some Gina.
Yeah. But my point is that a lot of people look at a pit bull and go, that's a vicious dog.
Right. Sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
All I know. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to find out if it's friendly or not. I'm just not going to deal with it at all.
Exactly. And I don't want to find out if this chick is the one that's going to cost me my job. So I'm just not going to deal with her at all.
Exactly. I'm not going to take the chance.
Yeah. And in the end, and we've said this a million times before, guys really don't want chicks to be their friends. We don't.
Yep.
You know, I mean, everybody seems to have that one girl that's their friend. You know, it seems like most guys have one chick that's like their chick friend. Kind of keeps them balanced a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's face it, we could do without that person in most cases. And
Right.
and in reality, if it wasn't for the pussy, we would really not spend any time with chicks. 90% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, dude, name one situation that's made better. Name one other than a sexual type of a scenario. Name one thing that you would do better with a woman than a guy friend. Name one. And again, taking sexual stuff off the table.
Right.
I'm just talking about going to movies, going to a concert, watching TV, whatever it is that people do, going to a museum, whatever it is that people do. Is there anything, at least in the guy mentality, where it's like, you know what, this is way better when I do it with a chick than with my guy friends?
No.
There's nothing.
Nothing.
So, you know, you want to have the Me Too movement, it's going to be Me Too only, because y'all going to be by yourself. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine with us. We don't generally need that attention. We don't need somebody telling us how good we are. We don't need to fucking have somebody to fucking support us and take care of us and all that shit. By and large, we don't need any of the stuff that comes with chicks. We only bring in the chicks because we want to get laid. That's the only reason we bring them in 99% of the time. True?
I would agree.
How many female friends do you have that you actually spend time with?
I don't have a one.
You don't have a single one.
Not a single one.
Yeah, I have Stephanie.
But she's married.
Yeah. But I mean, she's my one friend that is outside of that.
Yeah, but if she wasn't married and she wasn't married to a friend of yours,
I'd go after them.
Yeah, but if she didn't want anything to do with you on that level,
yeah, we'd still be friends, I think.
You think so?
Well, if it's a weird thing is I don't know. I mean, definitely was attracted to Stephanie before we were friends.
Yeah, but that was before she was married.
Yeah, true. That is true. I don't know. It's hard to think if there was never the whole John and Stephanie piece to that puzzle, I probably would have never interacted with her ever. I would have hit on her and she would have told me to go fuck myself, and that would have been that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I ever would have had the initial interaction of, hey, let's go out to the Indians game and see what the tribe's up to. I don't think that would have happened.
No, because if you did that, it was like, well, this is a date, and maybe I'll get lucky at the end of the game.
Exactly. I've never made any bones about it. I definitely wanted to fuck Stephanie. Jesus Christ.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, she's a hot girl. She's still a hot girl, even though she's fucking with that disaster John. But, but yeah, I don't know. I honestly think it would, if she had not been in and out of dating John, I don't think I would have ever become friends with her. I think you're right on that.
There you go. And well, since we played some Gary Cherone there, I thought we would revert back and make our good friend Sammy Lee happy and put his lead vocalist David Lee Roth.
I'll never understand that whole worship of DLR, man. I mean, I like those records. They're fine. They're good. They're great records. I'm not going to argue that they're not, but man, oh man, the level of hate that is leveled to everybody else. It's not those guys' fault that fucking Eddie wanted a different singer. Why don't they need Eddie?
I get the whole David Lee Roth thing, because you got to realize, if you want to look at the history of music, as far as rock music is concerned, Van Halen kind of hit the airwaves in 78?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, there really wasn't a whole lot going on in 78 as far as hard rock music was concerned. And at that time, Van Halen was considered hard rock.
Sure.
So with Running with the Devil and with Van Halen, with David Lee Roth having that, what do you want to call it? Charismatic front man.
That swagger.
Yeah. They carried 70s music into the 80s with the really ultra long hair and spandex and the over the top showmanship, and obviously Eddie Van Halen himself bringing to the table his unique style of playing guitar.
Right.
And so they ushered in a whole new era. I would give Van Halen credit for the whole 80s boom.
I would think so, sure.
Yeah, because a lot of people wanted to emulate what Van Halen was doing. So I kind of get that. And, the thing is that being that they were original, and then you bring in Sammy Hagar, who obviously had a stellar career as the front man for Montrose and, of course, as a solo artist.
Sure.
And releasing several, notable records on his own.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in, when I was working at Camelot Music when I was in college, the big record at that time was 3 Lock Box.
Love it.
Yeah. So Sammy himself already had a reputation, and for him to step in and take over an iconic and people might argue the term iconic frontman such as David Lee Roth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a little bit of you don't hold a candle to David Lee Roth, man.
I get all that, but why don't they hold Eddie responsible for that? Eddie made the change.
That is true.
And nobody holds Eddie. Everybody blames Sammy if they don't like 5150 or Balance or 0812 or whatever. Fair enough. They don't like those records, but they always blame Sammy. Sammy just took a job.
Well, Sammy's the face. That's the whole thing. It's like he's the face of Van Halen, man.
Yeah, but Eddie was the responsible party. There's no Sammy Hagar. There's no Van Hagar without Eddie Van Halen making that decision.
Absolutely true. But I think what it is that the fact that Eddie has been the consistent force in Van Halen.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the blame.
Yeah, but he never got the blame, did he?
No, absolutely not.
And again, I could care less either way. I like those Sammy Hagar records. I'm a Sammy fan. I like the Van Hagar better than Van Halen, to be honest. But I honestly see them as two different bands.
It is. It really is. It's no different than Black Sabbath with Ozzy or with Dio.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Just totally different music.
Same name, different sound.
Yeah, exactly. So, to me personally, there's no reason to be angry at any of them because they're two different bands that just have the same name. We don't hate one or the other Great Whites. They're two bands with the same name.
Absolutely. But do we listen to the other Great White?
Dude, Elation's my favorite album of all time.
I'm sure it is. I mean, I don't listen to anything other than the Jack Russell version, even the Jack Russell's Great White.
You're not a big fan of Full Circle?
It's not that I'm not a fan. It's just that it doesn't grab me. It just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, Great White is Jack and Mark.
It is.
Period. And Van Halen for you is David and Ed.
Yeah.
And is it all four or is it just David and Ed?
No, I don't dislike the Van Hagar era.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that as far as my preference is concerned,
yeah.
If somebody says, hey, you want to listen to some Van Halen, I'll listen to the David Lee Roth era before the Sammy era.
Right. And you don't even, if somebody says, hey, pick a Van Halen track, you're not even thinking about 5150 or
not at all.
Finish what you started or whatever.
Now I got to be honest with you, when it comes to the music videos, the presentation,
yeah,
I'll look at the Sammy era first, especially since you brought up Finish What You Started.
Yeah.
They got some hot bitches in that video.
Yeah, they do.
That little dark-haired girl in the white cowboy short skirt, the little she's kind of like a Western-looking girl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's fucking hot.
Yeah, there's definitely, they definitely brought the bitches when Sammy joined. Problem was that song anyway. That's like my least favorite Van Halen song.
Yeah, well, it's not a favorite song. I just like the video.
Just like the bitches.
But I also like the video for Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you ever see the Van Hagar era of Van Halen?
I did.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, like I said, I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
But if preference, I would go with David Lee Roth because I like the darker grittiness of it. The Sammy era of Van Halen for me is very poppy. It's very sunshine and happy, and it's whole.
It's hair metal. It is what it was.
It is. But the David Lee Roth is a little more gritty and blue collar and dark and just kind of, I don't know what it is, dirty. I think it's more dirty. That's what it is.
See, the one thing that always kills me with it is the live thing. And even back in the day, I saw Van Halen on the 1984 tour, at Richfield. And they literally had to tear out the seats because they needed the stage was too fucking big. So they had to take out seats to make the stage big enough for Van Halen to play there. And it was average. I mean, Eddie was great. The band was great. And David was David. I mean, he was better than he is now, but he was still, kind of doing his improv thing that he always has done.
He's shticky.
Yeah, but that was always my problem with Van Halen. You brought in Ed, or you brought in Sammy. Sammy played the songs the way they were supposed to be played. You know, he brought in his own flavor to them, but he played the songs pretty much the way they were supposed to be played. And to be fair and to be honest, I hated when he did the other Van Halen songs.
Yeah, it didn't fit his vocal range. It didn't fit his image.
Yeah, I didn't want to see him singing Jump or Panama or, you know, Drop Dead Legs or any of that shit. I just didn't want to see that. Unchained. You know, I just wanted to see him playing. I was much happier later in the Van Halen career when he kind of minimized that to the shit that he had to play, like Jump. Yeah. You know, they just have to play it. But for the most part, they started bringing in Ed or Sammy's solo stuff too. They started playing, you know, There's Only One Way to Rock. That was from the beginning, but then they started doing Eagles Fly and stuff like that. They started bringing in Sammy's solo stuff. I was perfectly cool with that. That was great. So I don't know. And then just Cherone. I will say I saw Cherone with them one time and they were really fucking good. They were good. Eddie was a mess, but they were good. He was all fucked up. And
the weird thing about Cherone in the live performance was his ducking behind the drum riser and, you know, doing this whole where he was always crouching down and all. It was like weird. It was like he was like hiding behind the drum riser.
Dude, he's done that his whole career, though. He did that with
but
Extreme.
It didn't fit the Van Halen thing, though.
No. It didn't. Dude, when I saw Extreme open for Bon Jovi at Blossom one year, and this will tell you, it was on the Keep the Faith tour for Bon Jovi. Me and the ex-wife went. A rare show that me and the ex-wife actually went.
Wow, look at that. She actually got out of the house to listen to Devil's music.
She wanted to bang John Bon Jovi. You know, she was like, I could be banging him instead of you. So she was fucking more than happy to go to that. But I was more than happy to go because I was a big fan of Extreme. And Extreme, they were on I forget what the album is called, Three Sides of the Story or whatever that's called.
What was
Three Sides of the Story or Third Side of it, whatever it is. Who cares? Has Warheads on it. Was the
three sides to every story, I think it's called.
Yeah. Well, we go to that show and here comes Extreme. And they like climbed over the drum, like there was like a wall of speakers and then the drum riser, and the drummer climbed up onto the drum riser. He didn't just walk up, he climbed up, and the band climbed over the speakers and then started playing. And then every other song, Cherone was like behind the fucking amps.
Yeah.
It was the oddest thing.
Yeah. Well, he did that with Van Halen. It was weird.
It definitely is I don't know if he still does or not. We'll have to ask Sammy, but it is an odd thing that they were doing at that time. But they were a weirdo band anyway. Extreme, I always thought they were kind of weird. You know, I always thought Gary with the dumb headbands and
he would wear the bowler hat.
Yeah, they always had like weird look going on, and it never quite fit the music, and you know.
Well, they always act like they were street urchins or something, like the Depression era. It was really weird. It was like they were the Little Rascals.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like they were poor street kids or something. and I don't know about you, but I hated the first record, that with Kid Ego and stuff like that.
I wasn't a big fan.
But the second album, that's when Nuno just decided he was going to showcase how fucking great a guitar player he is.
And you know who's a worshiper of Nuno?
Who?
Our good friend John Levin.
Oh, of Nuno? Yeah.
He loves Nuno.
Nuno can fucking play, dude.
There's no arguing.
Would you say he is one of the top, I'll say 10 to come from the 80s?
I would say so. I mean, he's not a household name.
Right.
But as far as his, technical expertise is concerned,
yeah,
he's right on the top of the heap. I mean, he's right up there with an Yngwie or anybody.
Yeah, he's an amazing player, which makes it even more depressing that he's an equally amazing dick. But dude, honestly, and I mean, you know me, dude. I don't really care. You know, I'm not meat guy. You're meat guy. You like to meet these guys. You like to know them a little bit. You like to be able to say, "Hey, look who just texted me. It's Nuno Betancourt or whatever." You're more that guy. You like that, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't necessarily like to meet a bunch of them for the reason that if they're dicks, it really bums me out. If I'm
sucks the enjoyment out of what you know them for.
Yeah. And one of the biggest disappointments I ever had was Nuno, because he had that solo record called Schizophonic, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Schizophrenic. It might be, but it's Schizo something. And he was touring, and this is an old story, but I don't think I've ever told this on the show. It was right when I started Music's Bottom Line.
Okay.
And when I started Music's Bottom Line, it was me and this guy, Scotty Campana. And Scotty was like the money guy. He didn't have nothing to do with the magazine except he wanted me to cover. He was all into R&B and shit, like Gerald Levert and stuff like that.
Okay.
So he wanted me to do coverage of R&B bands. But I had no background in that. My whole background was rock and roll and metal and stuff. And at the time, this was when I was maybe 6 or 7 months into working for Scene. So I agreed to start this magazine. I didn't know anything about doing a magazine or whatever, but I just had good contacts. So I ended up doing Music's Bottom Line under a pseudonym, Scott Bake Sisson. That was my writing name.
Okay. Now, before you go, how did you come up with that name?
Scott was Scotty Campana.
Okay.
Bake was my nickname in high school.
Now, why? What is that? What is it?
This is so stupid, but I'll
well, that's the whole thing. We want to get to know you, Chris. We want to know you better.
I can't believe I'm telling this story.
Well, tell the story. I don't even know the story.
It's a two-pronged thing. One, when I was a little kid, it was always Aiken Bacon. You know, the rhyme, Aiken Bacon.
Okay.
So then it was Bacon, and then it just became Bake. It got
as you matured, it became Bake.
Yeah, then it became Bake.
Okay.
Well, and now this is the dumb part of the story. I always played baseball. I played summer league baseball, and in high school I was also on the high school, the traveling team, the varsity team.
Okay.
And I was really pretty good. I mean, I was all league a couple of years.
Varsity, you had to be good.
I was all Portage County a couple of years. I mean, I was a very good recruited to go to college and play baseball. I mean, I should have gone and played baseball. I had a full ride. That's a whole nother story that I could tell if you want to hear.
All right, go ahead.
But I was always playing two leagues at once. I would play school league, and then the summer league would also happen at the same time as school league for like a month and a half. You know, school league was from like March until June, and summer league was like end of April to July. So I was always on two teams, and I would literally practice with the varsity team. Then I would walk over to the fields over there in Streetsboro, and then I would practice with my summer league team.
All right.
So I was always in these two leagues. Well, I was superstitious like a motherfucker at this point. And
okay.
I played in a game, one game, and it was early in the season of the whatchamacallit, the school league. And so I usually would have like a t-shirt or something that I would wear underneath because it was cold. You know, it was a cold day. It was rainy, cold. Well, all I had was this long underwear shirt. Like you remember the kind it's like got a pattern on it or whatever. I don't know what that shit's called.
Well, yeah, it's like long johns.
Like a long john thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I wore this underneath so that it was, sticking out down to my wrists for this one game. And in this one game, I hit 3 home runs in the game. So the superstition in me was like,
I gotta wear this shirt all the time now.
I gotta wear it all the time because it's gonna make me good.
Okay.
So I wore this fucking shirt all the fucking time. And I'm talking about late July.
Right.
Late July, it's 110 fucking degrees, and I'm wearing this long john shirt.
Yeah, it's a thermal shirt.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just dying of the heat, but I was like, I was a good player, and I made all league wearing this dumb shirt, so I was gonna wear it.
Okay.
So people used to say that I was baking on the field.
Oh,
so
I gotcha.
that's where bake came from, and
All right.
and so where were we? Oh, the Scott Bake Sisson, and I don't remember where Sisson came from. It was just something I made up, I think. But I started using that name as my pseudo name to write Music's Bottom Line, because I didn't want to quit scene in case Music's Bottom Line fell apart in like a month.
Yeah, I get you. You don't want to lose your gig.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So once that business started, the Music's Bottom Line business started, you know, Scott Bake Sisson was born, and we were doing coverage of all these different bands, and like I said, Scotty wanted to do R&B, and I was more metal guy. So what were we referencing here?
Well, about Music's Bottom Line and getting started and how you got your name and
well, that's
interviewing. So you interviewed Nuno.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. So I did interview Nuno, and I was very pumped to interview Nuno. And one of the things that Scotty Campana, the guy that actually owned Music's Bottom Line at the beginning, was he had a record label out there, as well as he was trying to build a whole media complex. And he had the magazine, and he was building a TV show, and he had a record label, and he was signing these bands. Well, one of these bands was a 2-guitar team, and you might remember these guys. They were called the DeMarco Brothers.
Okay.
Johnny DeMarco, and they were amazing guitar players. I mean, really amazing. And so I used my contacts. They were signed to Scotty's label. So I used my contacts to get them to open the show for Nuno. So we go to the show. We go to the show, and we get there early, and they're, doing their deal with their amps. And, you know what bands do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the Odeon. And you know this, but I'll explain it for people that don't. The Odeon at that time, and maybe even still, I don't know, on stage right, if you're facing the stage, there was like a set of steps that went up just off the stage into what they called the green room, which was just a big...
It's where people hang out. I actually interviewed Blackie Lawless one-on-one up there.
Okay. So it's just a room. It's just a room, has a little fridge in it, and people change clothes and whatever in that room. It's the green room.
Yeah, it's a dressing room.
Mm-hmm. And so we're like that's kind of where people stand if they're going to stand on stage. Is they don't actually stand on the stage because it's a small
stairs.
Yeah, they stand on those steps.
Yeah.
So I was standing on the steps as the DeMarco brothers played, and Nuno came down the steps. And he stopped behind me, and I just looked up at him, and I was like, "Hey, man, how are you?" And he didn't say nothing, and I just turned back around. I just figured, all right, I'm not gonna fuck with him, I'll just leave him alone. So the DeMarcos, they're playing, they finish a song, and Nuno taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, "Are you gonna fucking move or what?" And I was like, "Fuck you or what?" And I turned back around.
Yeah.
I was like,
"Step
fuck
over
you."
me.
I was like, "Fuck you." And then he like kind of like nudged me, and I just turned around and fucking pushed him, and was like, and he like fell back on the steps. And I was like, "I don't give a fuck who you are, dude. I will fuck you up." And that was it. And then I just fucking got out of the way because I didn't want to get my band pulled off the stage or anything. But he was a total dick. And it was like, what an asshole. How about just saying, "Hey, man, I got to get by."
Yeah. Could you slide over for a sec, or, while I get by here or whatever?
Or step down or whatever, so I can get through here. But he was a total dick about it. And I'm going to be fair here. This was at a time, and you knew me in this time. That was, I think it was even before you knew me. But I was a much more angry, much more volatile person than I am now.
What?
I know that's shocking news and all, but I know you, even when you met me, I was pretty volatile.
Yeah.
So I was like 24 or 25 years old or whatever. I was always ready to fucking go.
Is that gum in your mouth, Donnie?
No.
You have a little crush on me?
No. Yeah. I don't know what I'm supposed to say right now.
You know, I've been watching you all year, Donnie. When you hit that shot to beat Fairfield and you were jumping up and down in your little Larry Bird short shorts and sweating like a jar of pickles in the hot sun. God, that was so hot.
Is this really happening?
This is happening. It's happening right now in my office.
Okay, awesome. So I'm totally in. How do you want to do it? Because I made sex before lots of ways. So you want to go straight to hand jobs or eating me out or taking me from behind?
I'll teach you.
I'm a virgin.
All rise for the Honorable Judge Aiken as he enters the courtroom. Court is now in session.
All right, bailiff.
The Honorable Judge Aiken is at the stand.
Thank you, bailiff.
All right, Judge Aiken, it's been a while. I hope your gavel is not rusty. I hope your judgment is intact.
I am ready.
I hope you can rule fairly on these cases.
I'm going to try. The gavel needs some work, though. All right. We're ready.
All right. The first case on the docket, Honorable Judge Aiken, is a married female elementary school teacher, 36, performed oral sex on a girl, 15, in her home.
A girl.
A girl.
All right.
A former elementary school teacher from New Jersey has admitted to having a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old student.
All right. I mean, that's terrible. What?
Lauren, Lauren, Coyle, Coyle Mitchell.
Coyle Mitchell, there she is, with a hyphen.
Coyle Mitchell.
Oh.
36, has pleaded guilty to aggravated sexual assault and endangering the welfare of a child in January as her firefighter husband sat in the courtroom.
Oh, this poor soul.
The married woman, is being sentenced for having the affair 3 years ago with a teenager at Dr. Lena Edwards Academic Charter School in Jersey City.
Mm-hmm.
According to the New York Post, Coyle Mitchell will be sentenced to state prison.
Okay.
If Judge Aiken has his way.
Well,
in 2015, Coyle Mitchell was teaching second grade at a K through 8 grade charter school when prosecutors said that she performed oral sex at her home in Lyndhurst on an 8th grader.
Wow.
Under Coyle Mitchell's plea agreement, she will also be under parole supervision for the rest of her life.
Wow.
She will have to register as a sex offender, give up her teaching license, and never seek public employment ever again. According to her indictment, Coyle Mitchell performed oral sex on the girl at least once between October 1st of 2014 and June of 2015.
Okay.
The two allegedly had explicit conversations over text and email. She was arrested in June of 2015 after staff at the school observed what they considered to be inappropriate behavior between Coyle, Mitchell, and the female student during a class trip to Washington, D.C.
What did they observe?
Didn't say.
I would like to know what they observed. That was a giveaway that she was eating pussy.
8th grade pussy at that.
8th grade pussy. Wow.
Following her June arrest, Coyle Mitchell attempted to clear her name on
Facebook.
Tragic accusations have been brought up against me. They are not true, and my name will be cleared, she wrote. The teacher was arrested again just a month later on contempt of court charges after she allegedly violated her bail conditions and contacted the victim. Boy, that must have been some pretty good 8th grade pussy.
Oh boy, she's not a smart one. For a teacher, no less. She's pretty stupid.
Right.
Oh boy.
Prosecutor said that the girl received 2 telephone calls from a restricted number as well as a 1-word text message in which the sender used Mitchell's pet name for the girl.
Oh boy.
Investigators then discovered Mitchell had researched how to restrict her number while making a phone call and had downloaded an app that would allow her to do so.
Boy, she's not smart at all, is she?
She just couldn't stay away from that young poon.
Oh my God.
The girl did not answer either of the phone calls or the text message.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the other thing. Why is this kid's parents allowing her to have a phone?
Yeah, especially after their kid got raped. Especially after their kid got raped by a 36-year-old. Why wouldn't you take the phone? You know, maybe that's a good time.
Yeah.
Coyle
right. Mitchell's attorney argued at the time that she was merely a mentor to the 8th grader and said that she was suffering from an anxiety disorder and post-traumatic distress disorder.
Wow. I've never been so distressed that I had to eat pussy.
Well, she was just saying that I have this relaxing technique for you. Just relax, lay back, relax. I'll show you.
I'll flick the bean for you.
Right. Now, do you think an 8th grader has orgasms?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
Well, let's see. 5 years old would be kindergarten, right?
Thereabouts, yes.
So 5 and 8, 9 and 4, that's 13. Oh, yeah.
All right. Just asking the question.
I would think so.
During her guilty plea in January, Coyle Mitchell told the court that the relationship was emotionally and morally damaging.
To herself or to the victim?
Doesn't really say. He said Mitchell had a moment of poor judgment, which she attempted to contact the girl after her arrest and being placed on leave at the school. Last May, the State Board of Examiners suspended Coyle Mitchell's teaching certificate.
Did you say poor judgment or whore judgment?
Probably whore judgment.
All right.
So that's the story there, Judge Aiken.
Okay.
So let's get to the sentencing phase, shall we?
Let's go.
It's time for sentencing from Judge Aiken.
Well, you know what, bailiff? This is an interesting case. Probably a little more interesting than you thought.
Well, it's definitely unique.
She has a propensity to look both good and bad. You know, start checking out her pictures. Some of these pictures, she looks downright cute.
Okay.
Some of these pictures, she looks like a homeless lady. Her mugshot is horrible. I mean, it is horrible. And then there's another picture of her on the beach with her big old flapjack tits. I mean, her tits look like fucking broken eggs.
All right.
She's got old lady tits, and she's only 36. Now, looking at the dude that's married to her, I can see why she probably started cheating.
All right.
Because he just looks like somebody that would, be cheatable on. So I sort of get it.
So basically what you're saying, Judge,
Uh-huh.
in all due respect,
Yes.
is she looks at her husband and goes, ugh, I would like to eat 8th grade pussy.
Yes. I'm
Compared to you.
gonna say that's probably what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Is she's thinking about fucking this, fat bald guy, and it's like, well, I'm gonna go for 8th grade puss instead.
Well, this girl is 36. Okay, she's kind of like on the downside of life at this point.
Yeah.
At 36.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that perhaps, conspiracy theories aside,
Okay.
that she looked at the 8th grade pussy as the fountain of youth?
Maybe. Get a little drinky drink. Look a little younger. It's weird. I mean, did you look her up?
I did. I saw her picture.
If you look up her pictures, there's a lot of different pictures of her online.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, she looks very young. There's this one with her in front of like an old, like a barn or something, some red painted thing.
Okay.
It's like she's about 22 years old. She looks very young.
Well, maybe that was 10 minutes after she ate 8th grade pussy.
Maybe. While the fountain was working.
Well, it gave her that, elasticity in her skin and that youthful appeal.
It had a temper.
Then as time goes on, she kind of reverts back to her 36-year-old, and it's like, I need to drink from the fountain again.
Yeah, exactly. I can feel that as the probable. We'll call that probable cause.
All right.
So being that she knew that she needed that, I mean, that'll work in her favor. The look of the husband, I mean, this guy just looks like I've got to think he beat the shit out of her when he found out about this.
You ate 8th grade pussy?
Pop. I have to think. And that's why she looks like she's been roughed up. She looks like she's been in a UFC fight in her mugshot.
So how old is 8th grade? Is that 14?
13, 14, yeah, because 5 would be kindergarten, so
yeah.
9 more years, it'll be 14.
So when you're in a sophomore, your driving age was a 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's eating 8th grade pussy.
Yeah, just a little under. The kid can't get herself home after the youth fountain is sampled from, but yeah, I don't know. This is a very tough call.
Well, here's the thing, Judge. What I don't understand is not once in that story did I hear the word pedophile.
Well, no, it's a woman. We don't say pedophile to women.
What do you say about women?
Misguided.
Poor judgment.
Poor judgment. Misguided.
No pedophile involved.
Oh, lapse of judgment there.
Only if you're a dude is pedophile ever involved.
And only if there's penal contact. There's no penal contact here, so it's just poor judgment.
Okay, I gotcha.
You know what? And probably just poor taste. Figuratively.
I don't know. It must have tasted pretty good.
Well, she only did, according to the terms that you read, she only ventured there once.
That's what it says.
So she only went there once, might not have tasted very good. Might have been some of that fucking wafting puss.
I don't know.
Might have been fresh out of gym class after she might have been like the 13th person up the rope. Got everybody else's juices off that rope onto her snapper. She licked it off. It could be. Don't know. We weren't given all the full details that we need here.
That is true.
But I'm going to say here's how I have to make this is an interesting judgment. I'm going to rule that she definitely does time. She definitely does. I'm going to give her 3 years, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
She has to do time for this poor judgment here. And while she can look good, the most recent picture of her looks terrible. So since the terrible is probably closer to how she actually looks these days, I got to give her some time for that.
Okay.
And poor judgment for marrying this guy that looks like he would beat her ass. So, in my judgment, Lauren Coyle Mitchell, 3 years of hard time.
The judge has ruled.
I have ruled.
And before I go, shout out to the Classic Metal Show. I did an interview on there yesterday. Dudes are intelligent, awesome, prepared, funny. Please check them out. Classic Metal Show. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.